This is Phoenix from Nova Scotia Car Shows. We're down at 340 Automotive and we're going to be taking a look around this garage. Let's have a look.
Hey, I'm Brent for 340 Automotive. This is my shop. I am a part owner in this shop, but we're going to give you a little tour today. And we got some memorabilia in here, and we're going to walk around and just kind of talk about some of that.
All right, sounds good.
So what I'm going to start with is, well, obviously you can see we got a lot of posters on the wall. These are actually old newspapers, so they're actually from the years that they're from. And we've had them laminated, and I got them all hung up. Some of these were given to me by family members or customers that came in. And so you can see a lot of neat stuff. And we got some pictures and stuff like that. But what's kind of interesting is some of these are even local to, Nova Scotia, the corner of Duke and Brunswick Streets in Halifax. That was way back when. Here we have, this is actually an old dealership that was in town here in Yarmouth. So a lot of locals will probably recognize the Beachstone buildings down towards Water Street off of Main. And this was actually a Ford dealership and a Studebaker dealership. And that's probably getting back to established in 1914. This is probably getting close to that time frame.
Wow.
And this was the showroom inside, and most people will understand here locally that this is actually now where Waterview Marine Supplies is. And this, to my knowledge, this car still exists in the town. I believe it's in pieces.
Really?
And in a garage. This fella here, I think his name was Glenn Woods. And then this young gentleman here in the 51-ish Ford convertible is actually my wife's grandfather.
Oh, really?
Eric Taylor.
That's cool.
And his family owned the dealership back then.
Yeah, that's
back
very
in
cool.
the 50s and 60s and 70s. So that was pretty cool. Moving around. Actually, what's cool here is the building we're in, at least the end part that we're in here, was originally built as a Datsun dealer. Probably in about 79 or 1980. And these are actually the guys that built it. This was when they opened. And so again, some locals might recognize some of the names here. And some of these folks are still with us. But that was actually, in November of 1980. And the building's gone through a lot of different iterations. And we've been here for about almost 11 years, actually, in January. And I always people loved looking at the prices of cars because that's a brand new car for $795.
Wow,
right?
you wouldn't get that nowadays.
No, not even close. 10 times that maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so very neat stuff. This is a print of a Norman Rockwell painting, which my grandmother gave me because my grandfather was a police officer. And he's built like him, and it always reminded her of him.
Cool.
And whatnot. This is a 36 Chevrolet poster, which is McGregor Motors. I did have one from Motor Mart in town, but I did give that to a customer of mine who actually has a 36 Chevrolet four-door
Oh, yeah.
deluxe.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And just for the sake of it all, we do have our complaints department.
Yeah.
Which is, take a number, and our human resources department is the world's tiniest violin, and people get a kick out of that. We like making people laugh and relax and enjoy themselves. And just a lot of cool old posters and stuff to read. We did a series of videos on our old social medias there with the gnome, and we had fun with that. Just he doesn't like me is the whole shtick. So this was actually my grandfather's car, a 56 or 5 Pontiac. And I always enjoyed this poster because it was again talking about money, a long time ago, and you could win $3,700 or a brand new Buick and $2,500.
Yeah.
One thing here before we maybe move into the other room, but this radio here, this is actually an antique radio that my uncle gave me. And best I can tell, this is from the late 40s, just sort of post-World War II. And what's awesome is that was his father's, and we've ended up with it on display. It does still power up.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, obviously it doesn't pick anything up.
Yeah.
But it can still work. And what's really cool is in the back side, let me see if I can pull some of these out. We actually have old service records. So that's from 1947.
Wow.
When he had some work, and he spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah.
6350. Actually, I think that was the purchase of the radio there, and then these are service records, which is just really kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, $2.75 to repair it. Yeah, so we're going to step into the main office here. So this is where we do a lot of our everyday. As you can tell, we have the chaos coordinator sign there, and that's basically what we do on any given day, is try to coordinate chaos and repair some cars and get people back on the road. But we also have, I got some old license plates I picked up here and there. And the 1926 was actually from my wife's grandfather. Customer gifted me the 41 down on the bottom, the bright yellow one there. And the 31 New Brunswick plate actually came on a 31 Model A we had here a few years ago. So just kind of neat stuff. Ended up with a lot of memorabilia here, a lot of the cans, and I really appreciate anything old, vintage. Yeah. Stuff's kind of humbling to experience, and just kind of a neat collection. People enjoy it. They reminisce about it when they come in. They go, oh, the old chewing tobacco, or the old coffee cans, or what have you. It takes them back a ways, and
well, it fits in with the car culture, right?
Fits in with the car culture and whatnot. Yeah, we got some Dukes of Hazzards dinkies there. This one here is actually a custom that a friend built for us, and that's actually got a 340 logo on the side. Yeah, a neat little rat rod truck. And then up top, I got a little bit of my geeky side showing through. So we got a lightsaber on display, and a customer made me a Spider-Man bust there on his 3D printer. And,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and always gotta have a guitar around. I like to play with guitars. That's an old one that's really no good anymore, so it makes nice wall art.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't have any strings on it.
No, it's got no way to work. So. Yeah. And it got water damage, actually. That's why the fretboard's coming apart. But this was a cool piece of memorabilia I picked up in 2013. So this is autographed by Gene Winfield, the hot rod builder.
Oh, cool.
So he actually built these shuttles for the sets of the original series of Star Trek back in the 60s. And he was autographing those in Moncton at the Nationals one year. And yeah, this is me as a kid sitting on a seat in our old Bronco 2, and then me quite a while ago yet again, but still, that was my Camaro I rebuilt one time.
Cool.
Yeah, so we got a lot of neat stuff in here that kind of takes people back.
Yeah.
And gets them going. So we can kind of move on to the shop if you want.
Okay, sounds good.
We can step out in the bays here. So this is our shop, and we got 3 technician bays, all in the same room here. And yeah, we've been, it's a little dirty at the moment because we're getting into the late part of the silly season, I call it. And we usually take some time in the winter to tidy stuff up and get stuff cleaned again for the spring.
Yep.
And to our right here, right through this door, is our detail shop. So that's where we, do all the car cleaning, detailing.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll go in there later. That's great. We got our most important piece of equipment here in the shop. That's the coffee maker. So you got to have coffee when you're working at a shop, right?
Yeah.
And then we also upgraded recently and got an air fryer, so we can actually have some good food here.
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
So,
yeah.
And we got the old shop mini fridge, and I've had that for 20 plus years.
And that still works?
It's still going.
Cool.
Yeah, still going. And those stickers are from almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So we can take a look here. This is a 68 Chevelle that belongs to one of my staff. And it's obviously, it's a pretty wild custom. It's pretty cool in that it's a sort of a period type car.
Yeah.
Kind of takes you back to the 80s, maybe even the late 70s. And you got the hood gauges and the flame job and the big BF Goodrich tires. And this is currently sporting, it's a tall deck 427 base block that is actually board stroked and built to a 548 stroker. And that's making I think it's about 740 horsepower.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's quite a stout piece of machinery.
Yeah.
And he bought it last year, and we've been picking away at it. So hopefully that'll be on the road this spring. And now it didn't come with that engine, but it came with this 355 small block Chevy here on the run stand. Currently, it's not running. We're got an ignition module problem, I suspect, but it's dart-headed, full roller gear. It's a real, actually, it's an older build, but it's a stout piece of machinery.
Yeah.
And that belongs to one of my other staff now. And the long-term plan is to get that into a little square body S10 pickup and kind of turn it into a street strip, rat rod, drag truck sort of thing.
Cool.
Yeah, sort of a ratty shop truck. And yeah, so this is where we do most of our work. That over there is Tony. I don't know if you saw him peeking in. He's the owner of the Chevelle. Wave, Tony. And yeah, so this is the bay where we do a lot of our undercoating and general repairs and things like that. So like I said, it's a little bit messy at the moment because we're trying to wrap up that part of the season. And in the back, even though there's some stuff laying around, that's sort of this back room here is our metalworking shop. So we got our chop saw and our plasma and welder back here. And we store some random bits and pieces in here.
Cool.
So we got old exhaust pipes and stuff for repairing exhaust when we need a piece that you need a certain size or what have it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got a little 267 small block Chev engine there.
Cool.
Which they're really more of a boat anchor, but I can't say no to an old engine.
Yeah.
We got some old headers around and bits and pieces. A lot of this stuff here goes to the S10 build. That'll be happening through the winter. And yeah, we like to have fun with old cars. We do work on everything as a rule, predominantly North American and like Japanese vehicles and some European, but it's kind of your typical automotive repair shop, and mixed with a bit of a hot rod shop. We do work on antiques and take on special projects, especially through the winter months. Always on the lookout for something that we can try to get on the road for the springtime for someone that maybe it's been sitting around for a while and they need a little help, or they want to, they want someone that can get it done in a timely manner. We try to do that as well. This time of year is a little hard because we're so busy, but in the winter months you can be more dedicated to it. So that's kind of our goal.
Cool.
So yeah, the Chevelle here, that's it's going to be quite a wild car, I suspect, with that engine in it. It's kind of a street strip build. It's got the old. You get the door open here, you can kind of get a quick look. You got your race buckets and your race wheel, the old Cheetah shifter in it.
Cool.
Yeah, so they're definitely full pro gear actually. Those shifters, they're pretty wild. And yeah, it's been customized a lot. The paint in this obviously is kind of an attraction point. It's a little dusty from sitting around the shop here, but we're going to get it out actually on a trailer in a couple weeks for a Christmas parade locally.
Cool.
So we're going to do a float in that and put this in it.
Nice.
The paint, as best we can tell, it was actually done in Quebec. That's probably where the car was built. We are going to have to try to update this for them. So
Yeah.
that's obviously not accurate anymore. And like I said, you got the old school BF Goodrich radial TAs.
Cool.
And I think we are running a 295, 295/60, 15 on the old weld wheels. Definitely a cool wheel and tire combo from back in the day. And, and I think you got the 15x7s in the front.
Well, these are pretty wide.
They are, yeah. 295 is a very wide tire, right?
Yeah.
So, but that was a popular tire size combo and wheel and tire combo from, the 80s, 90s. So it kind of takes me back a bit because I'm starting to get a little older now. So.
Yeah.
And Got a TCI torque converter in it, and a whole bunch of goodies in it yet again. We got a MSD box we got to get wired up and stuff. We do have it starting and running, but no, it's pretty clean. There's even some nice pinstriping here.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's paint by Automotive, I believe, and I believe that's a Quebec number or out that way. And I believe at least the pinstriper, if not the painter who did it all, signed it, and it's dated for 03. So yeah, it's about a 21-year-old. At least the pinstriping's 21 years old. I would hazard to guess that was done around the time the car was painted.
Cool.
And so it's a really cool old flame job, which
it's in good shape too.
It's in good shape for an older paint job, right?
Yeah.
And it's got a very nice, I don't know if you can pick it up here, but it's got a very nice pearlescent in the orange.
I saw that, yeah.
So you get a bit of the pink hues in it. From a distance, it just looks like a bright orange car, but you get a little closer and you start seeing the nice flop in the paint.
Yeah.
And the flames are done. They're excellent. They're very well done.
Yeah.
For actual paint graphics. And it's something you don't see a lot of anymore is flame jobs on cars. They kind of had their day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got away from it for the last 25, 30 years or so, and then so it's kind of cool to see some of that resurgence of some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking of what else we can talk about. Yeah, we got the MSD box in there. It's not currently hooked up, but we'll get that going. That's a nice 6AL unit. And took some fitting to get this in. It turns out the old motor mounts were actually welded in place for the small block that came out of it.
Yeah.
So we had to get those out and get proper big block mounts for 68, 69 Chevelle.
Yeah.
And we got it all plumbed up, and so it can start and run now. It is open headers currently. The exhaust is not hooked up, so probably what we'll do is if you want to get a bit of it running, we'll get it to fire up here.
Okay.
And gives people something to listen to as well.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's have a look at the detail and shop.
Yeah, come on in, guys. So this is actually a new piece that we built on earlier in this spring of 24. And this is dedicated just to detailing cars, which has been actually a big part of our business for a while now. We introduced detailing back in actually late 2015, I think.
Cool.
And at the time, it was kind of like, well, we know how to clean cars, and the bills are coming in, you got to pay them. I said, well, if I do one car a week, that's at $100, that's $5,200 a year.
Yeah.
And now we have a dedicated bay. I have a full-time employee in here, and he works on getting cars shiny. And we'll do everything from from your general wash, wax, and vacuum up to we can do full interior shampooing, extraction, steam cleaning. deodorizing. Even if, if we get some bigger jobs, sometimes we'll even get into taking the interior right out.
Cool.
So some really gnarly stuff. We do engine bay detailing. And then we get into something that I've worked at for a while, and then now I've trained staff. And we do paint correction. So we do the paint polishing and buffing and compounding. A little bit of wet sanding as well.
Cool.
To get all the imperfections out. And then it's just like glass when we're done a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And then we get into full-on ceramic coatings as well.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's really kind of diversified our business. It gives people kind of a one-stop shop kind of aspect to it. So they can come in, we can do their service, and then it can come right over here, and we get into cleaning it. And so they get a maintained and vehicle, under the hood and underneath, as well as inside and on the outside.
Cool. So what products do you use?
So we have a fair amount of different products. Generally, I've used a lot of Sonax, which is a German brand of detailing company. And we can get into, I've actually got to do a reorder right now. But we use their wheel cleaners and some of their fallout removers to lift the contaminants out of the paint.
Yeah.
I also use a company out of New Brunswick a lot for my bulk stuff. It's called Gap. Gorley Auto Products, I think it's referred to as. And we of course we get into the snow foams and stuff like that, so you get all that nice suds on the car, and it's draped everywhere and lifting all the stuff off.
Yeah,
it's very satisfying to use.
Yeah.
And and we got a whole host of products. This is all our everything from our glass cleaner to our plastic cares and our tire dressings, things like that.
Cool.
The leather cleaners, which they actually smell really good.
Do they?
Yeah. The cleaner itself has a nice leather sort of scent to it.
Oh yeah.
And then our conditioner just smells like brand new leather. So
cool.
It really helps to maintain that scent in a vehicle that's got a full leather interior.
Yeah. And
we got a whole host of other products here we kind of keep under wraps for when we're spraying water on vehicles or something like that.
Yeah.
And so there's Sonax. That's our main heavy cut compound. And we got compounds for polishing glass, actually. So when you get those water spots that are just stubborn and won't come off, you actually have to get fairly aggressive and get a polisher out.
Do you?
And sometimes we'll get in with our little rotary polisher we got here, a little cordless, like that. And then we'll get in sometimes with this guy as well, which is a little dual action, so that'll oscillate as well as rotate.
Cool.
And so there's a whole bunch of different ones there. And ceramic coatings, and we also have a ceramic detailer that we use a lot because it works even better than wax. This is actually what we use for our leather stuff. So you can kind of, oh yeah, it smells good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I use that in my car when I don't even have leather, just because it smells so good. I'll put it on the shift boot. And and of course, no detail shop's complete without a whole bunch of different detailing cloths.
Yeah.
And different piles. So these are nice, really soft cloths that are really plush.
You can't reuse them, can you?
We do reuse them, but they go for different purposes. So when we're doing a paint correction and ceramic coating, it's pretty much exclusively brand new detail cloths.
Yeah.
And then we do wash them and reuse them for general purpose stuff, whether it's interior cleanings, or if we're degreasing something. And then once they're washed again, they kind of get split into three categories. One's you can reuse this for a clean area in an interior, or there's some that get retired.
Yeah.
And then there's some you just save because they're going to get full of dirt and mud or undercoat because you're doing low on the vehicles. So we got a parts shelf over in the corner. That's where our deliveries get made every day from the parts stores in town.
Right.
As you can see, right over in the corner there between the doors. And this, let's see here. So this bay door to your left, the brown door, it's definitely seen better days.
Yeah.
We're working on getting that taken out here in the next coming months, probably through the winter. So this was an original bay door that was to the exterior. Now it's on the interior. So we're actually going to come in. I got a set of French doors that I'm getting from somebody that I know.
Cool.
And it'll be a nice sort of finished detail shop with nice glass French doors in here.
And this goes into the welding piece.
This
right?
would go right into your metal working room, your welding and cutting and torching. So we do want to keep it separate, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have a throughway where you can pull parts through or what have you. Have 2 points of entry. And yeah. So what we do like about this is this new piece, it's fully insulated, which obviously it would have to be, but it's nice. It gets really warm in here. And it's kind of nice to have, but it's all steel. So it's all metal in here. It almost kind of, I like it kind of the way it is. It kind of reminds me of like an old aircraft hangar.
Yeah.
However, I do have intentions. I think what we'll probably end up doing is painting the walls on this side because they're kind of mismatched weathered, which some people seem to like, but I kind of like to paint that and maybe even put up a banner or a mural up high. Just to give it some character.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, and kind of go from there. And this corner's a bit of a junk pile right at the moment. I apologize, but I also got some metal buffing wheels here, so we can actually polish stainless trim for antique cars and stuff like that. So, and we got the different compounds for them. And so that's actually been really handy to be able to do that because there's not a lot of places that can actually do it.
Yeah.
And so if you got an antique car that's got some stainless trim that you got off the car and you'd really like it polished up, give me a shout.
All right.
And we can do that. And yeah, toolbox, as you can see, we got some taillights out of a car, so we do headlight and taillight restorations. So these are going to be some that we're going to polish up, wet sand and polish up back to restore those and get those done. Yeah, so this is this car and I have a bit of history. This is my 91 Firebird Formula. My best friend actually bought this car in 2005. And he drove it for a number of years, and we kind of hot rodded around in it when we were younger.
Cool.
Had a bit of fun, and a few years back, I think 2019, he reached out to me and inquired if I was interested in taking the car on because he had another car and motorcycle and and family and didn't really have room for it, and so I had it shipped down and kind of got it running again and driving and road legal and done a lot of work to it so far.
Yeah.
It still needs some body and paint on the outside. That'll probably happen in the next year or two.
Cool.
And a little bit of interior work. It's all original interior, with the exception of the shifter and the steering wheel. The steering wheel's been altered. Yeah. And so it's kind of a throwback to the early 90s, the late 80s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun that way.
Cool.
It was originally a 305 5-liter HO engine in it, which they only made not a lot of horsepower for being a high output. It's still a 5-speed manual in it, but it's now sporting a 350 4-bolt main engine. It's probably making about 300 horsepower now.
Wow.
And then we got 373 gears in the back, so it's a fun little car to cruise around in.
Yeah, they're pretty light too. Are they?
Yeah, they're fairly light, so you do have to be a little careful because they can kind of spin a bit and get away from you. But they're just fun to cruise around. Everyone kind of has a throwback to them.
Yeah.
Some people refer to them as mullet cars.
Yeah.
A lot of guys had them in the 80s and they would grow out the mullets and stuff, right? But yeah, it's kind of fun to keep a little bit period correct to a degree, and you can hear the key on, but yeah, I get a short throw shifter with the Hurst pistol grip on it.
Cool.
And I just replaced the window switches, so little bits at a time.
Yeah. The
seats will get a little attention this year, I think. I actually might have a different set of seats coming that I've made a deal with a buddy. So, but it's definitely straight out of the early 90s.
Cool.
And my engine bay is not real clean, but we'll have a look.
All right.
So the engine he and I built this engine for the car, assembled it back in like 2011, I think. And he put it in, he finished putting it in. And then it hadn't had like more than 100 kilometers on it when I got it in 2019. So it didn't really get driven. And then last year through the winter, or the year before, sorry, I took the powertrain back out of it, cleaned up the block, and redid the valve seals and a little bit of engine work, warmed it over.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look that bad.
No, it shows better now.
Yeah.
And got the valve covers cleaned up, and they need to be cleaned up again now.
Also, what would this be right here?
That's a K&N air breather for your crankcase ventilation. So as the engines build up extra gases in the base and where your oil is, they need a place to escape to, otherwise they'll start blowing out gaskets and seals.
Oh, yeah.
This lets it ventilate so it can ventilate the atmosphere.
Well, I've never saw that on a car before.
No?
No.
Yeah, they were common on more old school cars.
Yeah.
Because all engines build a little bit of base pressure, and worn out engines build a lot of base pressure.
Yeah.
And that's when you start having a lot of blow-by issues and things like that. But we got that done. We got headers on it. So these are direct fit headers that I wrapped with the, might be hard to see, but here you can see the titanium heat wrap.
Oh, yeah.
And I got the heat wrap on the spark plug wires to kind of keep them from melting, because they're notorious for doing that.
Yeah.
And kind of gave it a little bit of a paint job under there, but she's kind of a ratty muscle car at this current stage. I mean, it's fun, and it does have some nice parts about it, but the paint's not perfect. The old clear coat's peeled off.
Yeah.
I did give the hood a quick respray last spring because it was just all peeled off.
Oh, really?
And so this was a quick job. So there's dust in it and everything else. And but at least it was glossy for the year. So
yeah, well, you don't have to worry about driving it then, right?
No, exactly. You don't want them too perfect, in my opinion. A beautiful car is beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you get it too perfect, you almost don't dare to drive them.
Well, and black's hard to keep clean.
And black's hard to keep clean. It's always dirty. I'm always cleaning it. But the factory formula wheels are on it. Cool. And so they're 16x8s all around with a slightly different offset in the rear. And this was a WS6 car, so it has like the sport handling package on it. And what I like about the formulas actually is just that they're a little bit different than the GTAs and the base Firebirds. It's kind of a mashup of the two. So you don't have the ground effects packages on them. So they're a little bit lighter than the GTAs, which are typically fairly optioned up cars.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys had the GTAs. They opted up for the GTAs, whereas this has the same size wheels. So it handles just like a GTA, but it's even lighter.
Cool.
So the trunks in these things, they're kind of neat. They have their own little idiosyncrasies, and they also had their failure points, which a lot of people didn't care for. So this one I've got set up for going to the car shows and things like that.
Yeah.
And we'll hook that back in. So we got our chairs, got our little cooler, and our little subwoofer, because we do like our tunes, our music.
Yeah.
Gotta have a little fun.
Cool.
And I like that I got the cover, so it just kind of stays hidden back here, and
Yeah.
everything's kind of jammed in tight.
Yeah.
So these trunk latches in these, they're actually on a motor and a gear, and they'll go up and down when you open and close them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
They I think they had some issues early on because they were fairly airtight when they were new.
Yeah.
And guys were slamming the big trunk, and it's a lot of glass, as you can see up here.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of glass, and that's most of what the trunk is made out of, is glass. And they were slamming them and breaking them because there was so much air pressure in the car when they were new.
Yeah.
So you can kind of just do this, and you can watch the motor suck the trunk lid down.
Cool. Interesting.
And my friend gave me this key tag, so and it's almost like he knows me.
Yeah.
So this is a Tacoma that one of my guys owns, and we done a little bit of a build up on it.
Cool.
So as you can see, it's definitely been upgraded. We got a Magnus and supercharger kit on it, on the V6.
Nice.
And yeah, it boosted it up pretty good. I got a different, oil catch can upgrade, coils.
Nice.
And yeah, we got the actual Toyota TRD upgraded intake and cold air intake for that.
So you guys use this for off-roading then?
Well, he does a little bit, I would say, but mostly just daily commuter. But it's a pretty stout machine. It's
Yeah.
got the fully upgraded suspension. It's old man emu, so it's top quality off-road suspension.
Nice.
You got remote reservoirs on the shocks and high quality gear.
Cool.
Running a Flowmaster exhaust out the back. Had a lot of add-ons on the body. Headlights and grills, and got the Go Rhino bar up here, and yeah, and the shocks down here, you might have got a picture of them, but you can see them. You got the shock there with the remote reservoir mounted up high.
Yeah.
Comes with the old man emu leaf spring kit to give it the full lift. I think it's about a 4-inch lift overall.
That's pretty good though.
Over stock, yeah.
Yeah.
And tail lights, and so he's done a lot of work to it over the years that he's had it. He bought it new. So,
Nice.
yeah, that was a cool thing for him to be able to do that. And he's done a lot of upgrades to it over the years.
Cool.
Yeah, you got the step tubes there, which almost act like a skid bar for
Yeah.
the sides.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, this is a cool truck.
yeah, they're pretty fun actually. They're a really nice working truck, especially for all around general
Yeah.
purpose and stuff.
So how often do you use it?
He drives it every day, pretty much.
Pretty good on gas?
Well, relatively, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a little worse now that it's supercharged.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has fun with it. But yeah, it's kind of his daily commuter especially for the winter time.
Yeah.
And as the weather changes, so you can see it's not perfectly clean. It gets on dirt road duty and
Yeah.
gets used like a proper vehicle.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Cool.